All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Business Blueprints. We are on episode 23, and we have Jim Fredo with Spring Capital Partners, and we're going to talk about some buy and holds. We're going to talk about some fix and flips. We're going to talk about some horror stories. We're going to talk about how we grew some rental portfolios. We're going to touch upon a lot of things. Jim, I appreciate you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
No doubt. So everybody, I always like to start, just for the people who are thinking about getting involved in real estate, we'll start there. Like, what made you get started? How did you get started? And like, just for people listening on like, to take that first action step, what made you do it?
Oh boy. I got caught up in corporate politics way back.
It's funny how a lot of people say that.
I worked for Symantec, Norton Antivirus. I was a product manager. Yep. We had this great release. It was so great that a VP on the other side of the country decided he wanted it, and laid off the entire team and took it. I was like, wow, so that's our reward for that great of a, we took it from 1% market share to 14% in a year. And our reward was,
you're fired.
We'll take that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's wild.
I said, all right, no more, never again. So that's when I decided I'm going to head into real estate, and I worked my way in from there.
Do you think, so just to stop for a second, I had this conversation with somebody the other day. To me and what I've seen, like we just took our purchasing manager from corporate America, and we're seeing a lot of that. There's a lot of talent out there in the field that is coming from corporate America that wants to jump back into private business. Because for one, corporate America is not taking care of you, period. Fortune 500 companies are just like, they're not giving you what you used to get, and they're doing what you're saying, mass layoffs, restructured. They're calling them restructuring and all these things. I was talking to a friend of mine who works for Jim Beam Centauri, like international company. They restructured and laid off hundreds and hundreds of people. So do you see that now as like there's more talent leaving the corporate world and coming into the private world, or?
I haven't paid too much attention to the corporate world.
It's unique.
I just do my own thing. So,
I've just been seeing, because we've been doing a lot of hiring lately, and it's been people coming from corporate jobs and coming out of corporate jobs. And it's funny when you're seeing that, because everybody always used to be like, get a big corporate Fortune 500 job, you're set for life, you're going to retire.
Yeah. I know a lot of people in corporate life that are looking to do real estate.
Yeah.
I think they're looking more
side hustle,
but I think once it starts working for you, you get the bug and you're like, okay, let's go do more.
So what year did you get into, your first real estate transactions?
I think it was actually 2008.
Nice. So you're right in the financial crisis.
Yeah, it was a complete disaster.
Yeah, 100%. As best as it could have been.
It was.
So how did it go? What was it? Fix and flip? Was it?
So I went all in. I had, my great corporate job income. I was living in Los Angeles. I bought a properties in Reading, Pennsylvania, because from the area, generally I knew people in the area. Yep. 18 units. I went
first
full
purchase,
in.
18 doors.
18 doors.
Oh,
everyone's like, you start with a 2-bedroom.
Yep.
No, 18 doors.
Yeah.
What a disaster.
Yeah, I bet.
I tell people every mistake you can make on real estate, I think I made it on that deal. Trying to buy something remotely. I had a property manager who was ripping me off and got rid of her. Couldn't find anybody else. It was a crappy neighborhood, crappy condition, shared utilities. It's everything you could do wrong. It was a disaster. So I lost what I put into it and had to regroup. So. All your initial
proceeds you were looking to put into the business? Just completely.
Yeah, I was funneling money into this thing every month. Yeah. Like, this isn't.
Yeah. This is not the way it's supposed to go.
I didn't know my numbers.
I'll be honest, I think everybody did that. My first one was that way. My first flip, not 18 doors, just one door.
Yeah, I recommend messing up on one door.
Yeah, one door. But I still put money into it. I was still putting my money into it. Didn't know my numbers, didn't have a strategy, didn't have a game plan, didn't know an SOP, didn't understand there's a process to construction, didn't understand there's a process to actually doing anything.
Yeah, this is one, I think when I bought it, cap rate was 20, 21%. I described it as a million. Might as well have been.
Yeah.
And that assumes it's fully occupied. Yeah. They're not destroying the place. They're paying their rent, and none of those were accurate.
Yeah. So did you sell it? Did you end up? What, you still hold it?
I ended up walking away from it and just
foreclosed it.
I turned it back to the bank.
Nice.
Yeah. It was ugly.
Oh,
so
that ugly.
It was that ugly.
Wow. So
I was putting over $2,000 a month into this thing.
Yeah.
Just to keep it afloat.
Just to keep it sustainable.
It was bad.
Yeah. And this was at a time, obviously you were just looking to take a chance on something a little bit different. You know, you weren't looking to this be like, hey, this is going to suck all my actual life work out of it.
This is supposed to make me a millionaire.
Yeah, for sure. That's the nail on the head. Because I think everybody sees it that way. Nobody like talking about all these when you get into the fall in your face stage.
You know, anybody listening, real estate's great, but it is a slow process.
Slow.
It is not overnight get rich quick scheme. And
so you've been at what? You've been in the game 15 years now, 16 years, roughly?
Yeah.
So when it comes back to so for a lot of people, they just would have quit. What was running through your head at that point?
I never quit.
Yeah.
I never quit.
I mean, I'm the same way.
You know,
I'm too stupid to quit, I would say. Yeah.
It's always, all right, find another way around that hill, over that hill, whatever it is. And
so what happened after that? Did you change models? Did you understand? Did you go back and like do a assessment on like what went wrong?
So what I did was, in the meantime, we ended up moving to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And when I came here, I did not know the neighborhoods.
Yeah. That's a very challenging thing.
So what I did was I did some mailers, and part of it is I knew a house in my neighborhood was the investor was looking to sell, so I added him to the list.
Yeah.
I ended up buying 2 from him.
Wow.
Now, because I didn't know the neighborhoods, I'm like, well, I know about this installment land contract. So I did the research, and legally, you know, a lot of great options. You know, I encourage people to look into this. Basically, it's some people think of it as a lease to own, but there are some legal things around it. I'm not an attorney, don't want to advise anybody, but there are things like if it doesn't work out, you're actually not liable for the rest of the debt. They can hold what you've paid, but only up to 25% of the value. Anything above that, they have to return. So I looked at this as a way of hedging my bet because I didn't know the neighborhood. So one of them was in Beachview. And I thought this property was worth maybe $40,000 at the time, and I think he wanted $72,000, and it needs some renovations. I'm like, that's a lot of money. So
it's a big difference.
I'm like, all right, well, I'll take a chance on this with this installment land contract. He ended up holding the note. I said, the more you want, the longer you got to hold it. He held that note 0% interest for 6 years.
Holy shit!
When I cashed him out, it appraised at $150,000. I'm like, okay, that worked out well. So that was I became super conservative with my numbers.
That was the good putt that kept you in the game after that.
Yeah, I became super conservative, and it's like,
and you've
I
always
protect
spoken
myself.
on that. You've been very vocal with that for a long time. You're a very conservative investor. You call yourself.
Yeah,
I've heard you say that numerous times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was that because was it because of that first time?
You go through an 18 unit, and
so
you're
that is still, even 16 years later, has
absolutely.
Still don't forget about that.
My first thought is protecting what I have, and anybody who's investing, protecting what we have, so we don't lose that.
And that's
first
working out for your investors and all the other
absolutely.
stuff now.
Yeah. Yeah, and then every now and then you get a home run. We had a grand slam. We just had a grand slam. Yeah.
Let's talk about
it. We bought a 28 unit townhome portfolio in McKees Rocks. And I ran my numbers conservatively, of course. And it's like, all right,
how did this lead come about?
This was actually on Facebook. It's a wholesaler that I know. We're friends, and so I responded and went out and
home run on Facebook. Listen to that, ladies and gentlemen.
Grand slam.
Grand slam, even.
Grand
salami.
So when I did the numbers, solid base, maybe a double. It's like, okay, this is good. Yeah. You know, we follow the Burr method if you're not familiar. You know,
Same as you. Yep.
So
those that don't know, that's buy, renovate, refinance.
Yep. Rent, refinance, repeat.
Refinance, whatever order you want to do.
So the idea is to pull your money out and go do it again.
Yep.
So it looked like this is going to work. So we budget in for, it's multifamily, so you're based on cap rate, and we knew the tax reassessment was coming. So we had all these numbers worked out. This is going to be a good one. We paid 1.7 for it. I think we put about 300,000 in renovations, and like, all right, we'll be able to cash out. Everything went well. Anything that could have gone right went right on this thing. I mean, we bought this thing; it was a mess. It was averaging, I think, $675 in rents. Ugh. The rents that were being collected, a lot of them they weren't paying rent.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We had squatters.
Yeah. So you inherited all the tenants and stuff and everything.
Yeah. We got 1, maybe 2 pages of the leases. It was an absolute mess. Yeah. Porches. One porch was about to fall on people's heads. Yeah. I mean, it was a mess. Yeah. So we fixed all that. In the meantime, we had a lot of voucher tenants. In the meantime, the vouchers went up, and they went up again this year, astronomically. The property taxes, the school board challenged, as we knew they would.
I've heard a lot of that happen.
I didn't even go to the hearings. Like, okay, fair enough.
Yep.
4 parcels. One parcel they were granted the increase. The other 3, they were denied.
Wow.
I have no idea why, because it was totally legitimate. Oh, okay. So that saved like $12,000 a year.
A year.
A year in property taxes, which adds to your value. So when we bought this, it was collecting 15,500 a month in rents, and we are now up over 31,000.
Oh shit!
I'm waiting for the final appraisal number, but based on the conversation I had, it's definitely going to be somewhere around 3.6 to 4 million.
Let's go. You're all in it too.
That was a grand slam.
All in it too, and some holding costs.
That was a grand slam. You could, I mean, if you would have. So this is how I looked at numbers on my first deal, and none of that happened, and you lose it, right? You can't look at numbers going that way. You got to be conservative, but every now and then, everything lines up just right.
Yeah,
and that's just an amazing bonus. But
yeah, no, it's funny that you say that, because you always get like, and you're always chasing that. You know, you're chasing that you're not even grand slam. You're just chasing something that actually goes 100% right. You know, because in construction and renovation and all these things, there's really no such a thing.
I assume everything's going to go wrong.
Oh, for sure. Nowadays, I'm like, I wake up and I'm just like, I don't even know how my world's going to catch on fire today. But no, it's you know, we just had our annual meeting today for the whole company. We rent out a hotel, like a space in a hotel, and we have just our preparation for 2025, get clear on objectives, goals, set rocks, initiatives, all the same stuff. So, and we talked about that. We were like, you know, 2023, we had an exceptional year of like, everything just kind of went right. 2024, we did better, but things didn't all just go as smooth, you know, and you have that. Like when you look back on a business for a year and you're like, wasn't the easiest year of business, but we did better, you know? And you look at some of them projects and you're like, man, it's good to get the ones that just go really, really well. And you're just thankful for that, you know? So now we had 2008, bought your first one, did your other first deal, and McKees Rocks did well on that. So what year was that? Was that right after the 18 unit, or was that?
The McKees Rocks?
Yeah.
No, we bought that in 23.
Gotcha.
And we're doing your
townhouse one, you mean?
The townhouse.
Yeah. So what about that one that you made money on your first putt? Was that around?
When was that? 2012 maybe?
Gotcha. So did you take a break from 2008 to 2012, or did you do any deals in real estate between after that 18 unit?
I was kind of regrouping.
Yeah, I bet.
I was kind of licking my wounds for a few years.
Yeah, for sure.
So
because you're like, I don't know if I want to step back into this fucking revolving door of nightmares.
I didn't want to do anything remotely again.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep it close to where I was, and I was still in LA.
Yeah.
And
gotcha.
The LA pricing was just brutal.
Yeah, it's ridiculous there. So 2012, you come back here.
So I moved back here in 2011, and then took a little time to figure out the market.
Cool.
And
so where did it go from after that first deal? Did you kind of just hit the ground running after that? And
it was a slow ramp up.
I think slow's better.
Focused on those for a bit, kind of getting those right. Eventually, I started doing some flips to build up a little pot of money to, buy rentals. And, again, always having those contingency plans. When I went into flips, so I was doing construction. I had a construction background, and I know how contractors are in Pittsburgh, and a lot of them flake. So I'm like, all right, if someone flakes, I can pick up the pieces if I need to. Yeah. But I was going to sub everything out. Mm-hmm. I had 2 contractors flake, so I ended up just jumping in full time and never looked back. It was lean for a bit.
Yeah,
but
that's the story of everybody. But same shit. Yeah. I've done numerous flips myself. I had to jump in and fix shit. I had to jump in and do all this stuff. That's the story that, like, if people say that didn't happen to you, I'm going to call bullshit. Because anybody that's gotten this game and this definitely had a contractor or somebody flake on them at some point, and then had to get their hands dirty by like up at midnight painting and trying to do,
I think the majority of people have done that.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah. And we tried to get to a point where we're not painting anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Let me start backing myself out of some of these roles here a little bit. You know what I mean? Let me get an operator in place and just start to really understand that. So I was the same way. I went fast at the beginning just because I was buying low volume, like low expense doors, like $7,000 houses, $10,000
low
houses.
expense.
Yeah, very, very. Like, Claret shit, but Keysport stuff, Duquesne stuff. It was all very, very early on. And then, none of that came to fruition. And again, you don't get paid. You don't get any of this. I walked away from a lot of them and stuff like that. But, yeah, nowadays, I mean, again, my business model's grown, your business model's grown. So what do you guys focus on now? Like, what is your real game plan? I know we had talked a little bit before we got started, but I mean, I think you said you guys are 105 units? Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. So is that, what would you say now? Your unit count's half multi, half single family now? Or are you starting to phase out some of the single families?
It's more multi, but some of it's smaller multi.
Yeah.
6, I think I have 2 6 units, a 7 unit, and a bunch of duplexes.
So you still keep the duplexes? Because I hear a lot of people
I still have the single family.
So I hear a lot of people don't love the duplexes and the 3s and the 4s, and there's always like this weird thing they don't make money until you get to like 7. Like, you're a financial guys. You're very accurate in regards to how you look at these projects. What do they look like for you? What do you look like in these deals?
I mean, I like them. A lot of them where they're located. It depends on where they're located, right?
So let's start
I'm in
there.
neighborhoods.
What are some of the neighborhoods you love to buy in?
So I started off focusing in Wilkinsburg and
high taxes.
Yeah, but
Works.
it's all numbers, right?
Yeah, works.
It works or it doesn't. Like I have a duplex in Regent Square. That was my last purchase on the MLS. Killer deal because it had a zoning issue.
Yeah.
It was a true duplex, but it had been converted back in the 40s, and code department decided they were stripping it of its duplex status.
Oh.
I won't get into all the intricacies, but I managed to get it rezoned back to a duplex. So I bought that on MLS. I think it was $65,000 is what the guy wanted. I paid what he wanted. Mm-hmm. We probably put $90,000 into it, and it appraised for $3.25. Because I got the zoning issue.
Yeah.
I'll keep that.
Yeah.
It's a great property. It
100%.
cash flows well.
Yeah.
So, I bought a property, a single family in South Fayette, East Liberty. So there are neighborhoods that are appreciating.
Yep.
A single family comes along. All right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. So for now, they're cash flowing. Eventually, they're not going to be worth, or they're going to be worth more than the cash flow.
Yeah.
So we have 2 townhomes in the War Streets. So I've got the DSCR loan, debt service income. The prepayment on that is 5 years. That comes up in another year or so. They're worth way more than the rent that's coming in.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'll probably cash out and roll those into
Multis.
something that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Multis.
Yeah, multis.
Yeah, but again, I'm having trouble finding the big unit counts
Yeah, they're
here.
tough.
You need 100, 150 units to put management on site.
Yeah.
And I just don't see those here in Pittsburgh. There's some, but not like you see in other places. So I'm probably going to venture outside of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we don't have a big
No.
cultural space of big giant multis. Like it's not. I mean, you had to build them now. I mean, that's just really how it kind of goes.
I've contemplated that. We should talk.
Oh, I want to.
Okay.
That's my thing.
All right.
I want to do 300-400.
Should we pause this and talk?
We'll definitely talk after. It's definitely because, I mean, for me, the way I look at it is like, okay, what's the best recourse, what you have, right? So we've looked at multis a couple times. You can make money like 4 or 5 different ways doing them, you know, and that's the intriguing part. Plus, you're making money on the refi, you're making money on the construction, you're making money on the hold, and then eventually you make money on the exit.
Well, the nice thing about multifamily, and when I say multi, we're talking over 4 units, but
Real
over 15 is between 4 and 15 appraisals get kind of weird.
Yeah.
But above 15, you're talking true cap rate, income based.
Can you talk for the people that don't understand how appraisers look at deals from 4 to 15?
Yeah. So what I found is between 4 and 15, it's supposed to be based on cap rate. So I don't know if you're on
explain cap rate too. If you want.
Cap rate, capitalization rate is basically the return percentage that investors are looking for. So we'll just say 10% cap rate for sake of argument. If it's $1 million property, you would expect to make $100,000 net income on that property.
Yep.
We could spend a whole episode on cap rates.
Sure.
So when you start talking about single families, duplexes, those are based on a sales comparison. What are other properties selling for? That's what yours is worth. considering your condition compared to theirs. In the multifamily, it's based on this cap rate. They'll do a sales number, but really, and they'll tend to weight towards a sales number a little bit more in the smaller units, and your appraisals aren't necessarily great. When you start getting into higher numbers, it's really that
Strictly
income.
about cap rate.
They still say they do the sales comp, but it really comes down to that income.
They
is
want to
really,
see the finances.
The income is really what
they want to see the
predominates.
finances.
So if you increase your income, you now increase the value of the property. It's that simple. So
Raise rent $50, raise your cap rate.
Yep. Raise it $50, and you've just added value to your property.
Yep.
So that's why in this 24 unit, that was 4 parcels, but they were all multifamily, so they're all cap rate. So that's why when we save $12,000, if you save $12,000 on your property insurance or your property taxes on a single family home, you've added 0 to the value of your home.
That's
0.
That's
But
extremely true.
But on a multifamily, let's say a 10% cap rate, I save $12,000 a year. I've just added $120,000 by doing nothing. I didn't even show up at court, and I got a bump of $120,000. So that's the appeal of multifamily. Plus economies of scale. You have one roof. It's bigger, but it's not the same size as all those individual roofs. So you start getting those economies of scale. You get your property management in place. But I think a lot of people want the multifamily, and I think learn from the single family.
I think a lot of people don't know how to operate them, though. I think a lot of people want them, but they have no idea how to operate them.
No.
I mean, I had Dan on here, and we had a long conversation about the learning curve of his first big one.
Yeah.
I mean, it took him to the brink of hell. I mean, it was probably similar to your 18 unit. Where he did. I mean, he was, and it takes a real operator to be able to manage and stabilize those things. I mean, for sure. I mean, especially when you make like a mistake on a sized unit that's 300 plus. I mean, you got some learning curves that are coming your way. There's no doubt. So, did you guys have to? I'm assuming did you always start with multis, or did you work your way through single family slow playing it at first?
Well, technically, I did start with multi.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So
No, you definitely did.
But no, when I regrouped, it was single families to start with.
So did you have to learn a different operating method when you got into the multis, because they're not the same as a single family?
Not really.
Cool.
Not really. I think you start. To me, I don't think there's a lot of difference.
Okay.
The basic property management. These are your customers.
Yep.
Right. People forget this. These aren't just people paying rent. These are your customers. Yep. You learn your customer service on a single family, it's the same as learning your customer service on the multifamily. The only difference is, what do they want? And there are some different. So when you start talking big multifamily, now you're talking about, dog parks, dog wash stations. You don't have that in a single family. Yeah. But that's all easy to find out, and
big multis are about amenities.
So you're just adding whatever amenities. I mean, single family has amenity too, right? Yep. Could be central air.
Yeah.
Could be a fenced-in backyard for their dog.
Yep.
But, it's just putting those amenities. And, of course, a dog park
great
spread over 150 units is nothing.
Yeah. It's a great perspective on it. It's a great way to look at it.
But, they're your customers. So you're just learning as you go and learn how to treat your customers, how to renew your rent, how to keep them. Do you raise your rent? How much do you raise your rent? It's all the same.
Yeah. Are you an advocate of raising your rent yearly?
I'm not.
I'm not either.
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I could probably make a lot more money.
I could too.
But I have tenants that I talk to once a year. You're renewing?
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Nothing, because we renovated,
Yep.
we don't have anything going wrong.
Yep.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. And it's still paying the bills because I refinanced.
Yep.
My expenses are capped. I mean, they might be going up now with property taxes, but they're essentially capped. So I don't need to increase it.
Yeah.
And I'd rather keep that filled and worry about going and acquiring other properties.
Vacancies will kill you. Turnovers and vacancies will kill you.
Yeah. I mean, if you're spending all your time filling your vacancies, then you're not spending your time on growing. Yeah. And I'd rather grow.
No, definitely. 100%. And that's the way I look at it too, is like, I'd rather focus on growing this as opposed to like trying to find a new person every single year, yada, yada. Because we just went through the same thing. I had, it's a funny thing. I didn't know, but I had like 7 units that all just like were in December leases. And I'm like,
ooh.
Yeah, it's weird. And, like I've been slow playing this condo I bought in Mount Lebanon because I knew like I'm like going through Christmas and New Year's. I'm like, nobody's gonna we're not doing anything with this.
It's slow.
So I'm like, all right, we'll put it on 1st of January, see what we can do here. But it's weird because I have some people too. I don't hear from them until like a year, and I'm like, all right, we're like, nobody's leaving because the interest rates are not any better, and nobody wants to go out and from at least what I've seen is not a lot of our people. Like you said, I mean, most of them are renovated. Then they're comfortable. They don't want to up and leave. It's just as much of a pain in the ass for them to leave as it is for me to turn around and fix it and lease it.
And if you haven't raised your rent in a couple of years, if you're below market by a little bit,
Yep.
there's not really an incentive for them to leave.
Do you rehab every one of your units?
Yeah.
Is that mandatory?
Yeah.
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 Because you're throwing up some pretty big renos on numbers on some of these. Like $90,000 reno is a fucking big reno.
I assume when I go into a place, I don't know the history of it. I assume the switches and lights and all that, they're old. Just change them.
Yeah.
Because to change them, it's cheap.
Yeah.
Right. To have someone go in there for an emergency call costs more than just to change them when you get in there.
Yeah,
so why mess around? Simple little things like, I might seem really anal about this, but wall plates matching the color of your switches, and they all match. May seem silly, but that's I call it the interior curb appeal. When you walk in, it all looks mismatched.
Yeah.
Well,
that's awful. Yeah.
What's message is that sending?
I agree.
So
no, I agree.
Like, make it all match.
Yeah, I agree. I hate when I'm anal because I hate when the fucking electricians put the outlets upside down. When you put the outlets upside down on that commercial shit, that drives me insane.
Well, commercial, there are some.
There's a reason why
that are required,
right?
But some electricians have in their mind that you have to do that for all. No, that's not the code.
Not single. No,
I want my outlets to smile.
Not residential. Don't you dare do that. You better turn them things back around.
Yeah, make it smile.
I walked in the one time and it was like we were doing an insurance job for a house that caught fire in Nordstrom or in Canonsburg, and like. I don't know why, but the electrician put like half of them. I'm like, did your helper put half of them upside down? What happened here? I'm like, turn these all back around.
Oh, half were up,
half were up, half were not. I'm like, this is like $185,000 insurance job. You better turn these outlets around here. For the love of God.
Some people probably think we're kind of crazy and
I can't do it.
but
I can't do it. Yeah, I can't.
I think all this stuff, we talk about curb appeal, right?
Yeah.
When you come to a property, the bush is trimmed, there's a grass cut. But there's an interior curb appeal.
Yeah.
And that stuff does matter.
So is that a standard you hold on all your units? That
absolutely.
They got to be, do you ever just do some like quick renos on them?
We've done some quick renos, but we'll still change all the outlets, all the switches.
Yeah, sure. That's your standard no matter what.
And they're all going to, face the right way and match.
Have to.
So, but we don't always like gut a kitchen or gut a bathroom. Sometimes we'll do a lower end. Sometimes we'll paint cabinets.
Yep.
If they're in good shape but they're worn, you can paint them and they look great.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you don't have to do crazy amounts all the time, but you definitely want it to hold up so you're not getting all those maintenance calls.
No doubt. Definitely no doubt there. Do you have partners inside your business? Or is it just you?
I have partners.
Yeah, outside kind of guys that are just like.
So I have long-term business partner. I've known her for 20 years.
Awesome.
And so she's a licensed broker.
Sweet.
So she's actually based out of Texas, but she's also licensed here in Pittsburgh. And
cool.
So we have vertically integrated. So I have the renovation company, we have the management company. So she's the broker. So we manage a portfolio within that.
For property management.
For property management,
Gotcha.
for another investor.
Yep.
Yeah. I bought a 6 unit from him, and he moved to Florida and had us manage his property. Yeah. So
is that the only one you do, or do you do other guys?
That's the only one we do.
Yeah.
That hasn't been our focus in growing the management company, so we haven't really been.
I don't think they're that profitable. I could be wrong though. I've looked at it a couple different ways, and I'm like,
I think if you're doing big buildings, it absolutely can be
for sure.
But I don't personally like.
I hate it.
I mean, I do it, right? I do it. I interact with my tenants. I must say customers because they are.
Yeah.
I think Dan would freak if he heard this, but they have my cell phone number.
Yeah.
They know I'm not hiding.
Yeah.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it right.
That's how my tenants are currently.
I have people to do it.
Yeah,
so.
That's how my tenants are currently. Everyone still has my number. Everyone hits me up.
Yeah.
I might delegate the tasks out and stuff of who's coming out to check things out, but my point of contact's me.
We've got our task management system in place, so my crew knows what's going on. They do the renovations and the repairs.
Nice.
And
what task software do you use?
We use Asana.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah.
You like Asana?
It's been great.
Love Asana.
It's been great.
Yeah, we we were in it deep in 2021. Now we're real deep into it back again. So yeah, like everything's in
we
Asana.
found as we were growing, some of the repairs were starting to fall through the cracks, and that's not good customer service.
Not at all.
I said, all right, I apologized to the tenants, and it's like, all right, we're going to figure out a different method. And we came back, and we've got this, and now things aren't
So all
falling
your
through the
project
cracks.
management teams in there, everybody's in leadership teams in there.
Yeah,
Cool.
admins in there. Everybody's for leases, everything is in there. So
Awesome. So you have different project cards for all the different things you got going on. Yep, I love it. Asana is awesome, man. I really do in regards to the function. So we run out of 3 tools mostly. We have a custom built Go high level CRM, and then we use Asana for task orientation, and then we use Builder Trend for construction management.
Yeah.
Dropbox for like holding bullshit, but other than that, that's the 4 tech tools.
You've got to be organized.
Yeah, that's the 4 tech tools that we use, and it's hard enough to get people to use 4 tech tools, let alone like you have a company that has 13, because a lot of my employees, a lot of almost everybody's employees are like, oh, more tech shop. Oh, we got to implement more of this. And
No, I mean, I think my crew loved Asana.
it's good. Our people love Asana. I learned that I needed to get better at Asana too, because I needed to help everybody. And I was like, I see this as a weakness inside of our business, just because of how am I going to ask everybody to implement all this? And I got to I can't do much in it. So it's been, our entire sales process is built out in it, from the phone ringing all the way to closing. It's by far a really, really nice tool. What software do you guys use for managing your rentals?
So we have a couple different things. So my partner, she was using Yardi Breeze. She just switched software. I don't know which one she's using, but she uses the professional stuff. She's been doing this for 20 years.
Does she keep track of lease implementation for renewal or
on the ones, so she's managing the 28 unit.
Nice.
And she takes care of all that.
Nice.
Everything else I'm managing.
Gotcha. So what software are you using?
So for me, I use apartments.com.
Okay.
It still works.
Nice.
Don't tell them. They're going to try to charge me a fortune for
right.
it. I mean, if they did, I'd just switch over to Yardi Breeze or whatever and just use that platform.
Have you looked at any other platforms for your rental units that you liked if you were to switch? Or
I'm relying on my partner because she does this all day long.
Yeah.
She's done the work. I hear the horror of what she's doing right now because she's switching platforms.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's a brutal amount of work. But she's doing that research, so I'll rely on her. She says this works well for integrating with accounting, et cetera. She's done the research. I'm going to rely on that.
That's why I'm asking, just because for me, I'm going to eventually switch to a software too and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
It's just something I can automatically send renewal leases and things of that nature. And I lose, not that I lose track of that stuff, but I always forget. I don't remember when all my leases are up all the time. I have my admin helps me with my stuff. And because again, it's not, the huge focal point to our business. But again, like you said, there are customers.
Well, that's where so I've got a virtual assistant based out of the Philippines.
Nice.
I actually have a couple out of Philippines. And
did you get them through Apex or did you get them through before that, prior to that?
No, direct.
Nice.
So actually, ultimately, I found somebody on Facebook based in the Philippines, so I didn't have to do the interviewing anymore.
Oh, nice.
So,
even better.
I'm sorry?
I said that's even better.
It is. It is. I was just, my mind was just going to Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time. So it's
just read it this year.
It's just, interviewing people. Okay, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I still do the interviewing, but she's doing the initial interviewing. She's brought way better quality. Because I was using Upwork, and she's right there in the
Upwork
Philippines, and it just
we went down that world too.
Yeah,
I made that mistake as well.
Yeah, it's a time suck.
It's a fucking pile of shit.
I wasn't really thrilled with the results.
I wasn't thrilled with anybody. So I'll tell you what, I made the mistake again even recently because I went on there just to see somebody that could. I was having Asana problems, so for some reason we couldn't get a card to duplicate all the way, and it was getting caught on task 16 or something like that, and it would just stop. And then we couldn't figure out why for the longest time. Then we finally got it done. Asana wasn't helping. The customer service wasn't helping. So I was like, you know what? Let me go on Upwork or Fiverr and see if somebody on here can just troubleshoot this for $80 or something. Dude, it is the world's biggest fucking scam on that goddamn thing. They are trying to take you for all sorts of things that you do not even remotely need.
That's true everywhere.
Oh my God. I was like, you know what?
I mean,
everybody go away.
You're a contractor in Pittsburgh. How many times did people say, "Oh, I'm a contractor. What do you do? I do everything.
Yeah.
You run into this all, and what can they do?
Yeah.
Probably nothing.
What's crazy is when I worked at Urban Capital back in 16 and 17 era, Arch always said that when they were hiring construction guys, if somebody came in and interviewed for a construction job and you said you were good at everything, you were automatically not hired. Automatically.
Yeah.
Because that means you're good at nothing. Like
Yeah.
that was the ultimate signal for you being good at nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you couldn't actually say what you were good at. You just layered it with this surface level answer of like, oh, I'm great at everything.
Yeah.
Why would you not hire me?
Yeah.
What do you need?
I found that you can do a broad range of things.
Sure.
And my
Not
crew has trained to do a broad range.
Yeah.
But where do you go deep?
I assure you.
Where's your strength?
I mean, I had 15 field guys at one point. I assure you that not one of them was great at everything. Not one.
I don't think you can be.
Not one.
So when I say you can do a broad range,
sure,
you can change outlets and switches,
no doubt.
But
definitely can't
are you
tile.
rewiring a house?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No.
Are you changing a panel? Probably not. So so you can do a light, but where do you go deep? And maybe you do go deep on electrical, and you can rewire a house.
Yeah, construction is. I always say to myself, like, I'm more of a construction guy than I am real estate. That's just what I identify as. And it's a shitty world. I mean, it is. It's a world of like I've seen some of the most misguided and broke people in the world in remodeling. When we did remodeling for 6 years, because it's really tough to go out on appointments and go to like these nice neighborhoods. And our office was in Peters Township, and we're in North Strabane. We're right by the Meadows and all these things, and we're right in the center of all these big, these big busts or these big booms in the South Hills of like things building. And you'll hear like, some guy robbed the 87-year-old neighbor for $50,000. I hear the
stories
I can't
all
even
the
tell
time.
you how many bathrooms we fixed. It like,
yeah.
And like I don't promote, like we had that conversation today at our annual where like it was in the marketing department. We were going through the SWOT of each department. And one of the opportunities was, well, let's, broadcast the nice things that we do. And I don't love that. Like, I'm not a broadcaster of nice things that I do for people. Like, I'm just not. I don't like that. I like doing things for people and just doing things for people.
Yeah.
And let that organically build. Like, I think when you bring the camera around it and you start to film it, you're like, all right, this lost all the luster of like doing the nice deed here.
I just gave a pot of money to charity.
Yeah.
You know what? Just
that's
keep
what
that
you're
to
pretty
yourself.
much saying.
Right.
Is like, well, I did this job at cost, and I'm the hero.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And I'm just like,
just do it.
Yeah, I'm not the hero. Like, I'm just like, I genuinely feel terrible for this woman, and like, I'm trying to like not charge her another $40,000. I'm trying to charge her like 16, or whatever it is to just get us out of there.
Yeah.
There was a situation that we ran into where the guy actually robbed 3 neighbors. This one, this one, and this one. We started chiseling tile off the wall. No Hardy, no cement board, no Schluter, no nothing. Just right to the wall. But I mean, she didn't even use it, and she knew
this is an $80,000 renovation.
Yeah, I mean, like she already knew this was going to be a problem. Whenever, like, before she even used it, she's like, "I have a real bad fear here. This is just going to be bad." And we're like, "This is about as bad as you're going to get it."
Yeah.
So I mean, it's I always tell people, I try and say like, "Hey, man, I want to bring some integrity back to the construction business," and we are so upfront and honest with our customers that it shoots ourselves in the foot sometimes.
Yeah.
I
I think that's the way to run all business. For me personally, I think that's the way you run business.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I always tell everybody in our company, like, we don't set goals based on money. Never, ever. The way we lay out our initiatives and our goals is we have 29 families to help in 2025. Now, hopefully that will revolve into 25 million in revenue, but you got to do good work first. Like, you got to do good things to get to the money. Like, that's how you get to the money. You do good things, you put out good work, you have a great brand, you put out the product that people pay for, and you focus on the experience.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's how we grow a business.
Yep.
Yep. I mean, it's got to be somewhat. I mean, we talked about a little bit earlier that like you didn't think you'd ever get to 105 units.
You never picture that, do you?
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't picture 10,000, but maybe I'll get there.
Maybe. So like, what was the moment whenever you were building your portfolio that you stood back and you're like, oh man, this really might be something here?
Because
Because there's
I
always
don't
that
know
aha. There's always that moment where you're like, okay, it's clicking. I'm starting to figure this out.
So we talked about this before. The financial freedom number for me was 17 doors. When I hit that, it was like, okay, like I could retire tomorrow. I could stop working. It won't be luxurious, but I can pay my bills. And as I described it, this weight comes off your shoulders.
Yeah.
I don't have to. I used to get the Sunday blues all the time. Like, I got to go to work on Monday.
Yeah.
I have no choice. If I want to eat, I have to go to work.
100%.
I don't have that.
Yeah.
It's a whole different. I don't have the Sunday blues anymore.
Yeah, you're super good.
It lifts that weight off your shoulder. I think that's the first point in which I went, this is good.
That makes a lot of sense. That's actually a great way to look at it.
And from there, I do it because it's fun.
Yeah.
I tell people my definition of retirement is that I never have to work again. Mm-hmm. I'm at that point. Will I ever retire? No.
Yeah.
I'll be Warren Buffett. 92. I'm still going out there working because I enjoy it.
I agree.
It gives you a purpose.
Yeah.
It's not about the money.
No, it's purpose, identity. It's keeping yourself moving. I agree with.
It's providing jobs for people.
I agree.
Sometimes I buy properties that are like, it's not great, but it provides some jobs for the crew. So, all right.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
You make those decisions like that?
I have. Yeah.
Is that for what?
It has to make money.
Yeah.
I won't take a losing deal, but it might be one where I would ordinarily go, I'd pass, but I'll take it because it gives them some work and.
And do you do that
going.
based upon like situational? If you're like, I got about, 6 more units to finish up and I really don't have a whole lot. Yeah, maybe we should just buy that as a filler, see what we got going on the back end and go from there.
Yeah, I've made that decision.
We've all done that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't want to talk about that too. I think a lot of people are always like, I think there's a misconception behind it. So I think in the fix and flip world, that's a perfect model. But there's guys that do it in flips. And they'll be like, I just bought this house. I had to keep my guys busy. I don't want to lose my guys. I'm like, but dude, you took a fuckload of liability here where like, you might lose. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm like, these don't always go the way you want them to think you're going to go. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't buy flips just to do flips. Like,
I don't buy flips anymore at all.
No, I'm with you. I don't do them at all either. Because I don't like the construction side of it enough, like with what we have going on, and it comes back to the multi-unit, right? So like I'm so systemized now in what we do. When I look at remodel, I'm like, ugh.
So I love remodel.
Yeah.
My strength is, and has always been, finding a niche, fixing something that's broken. Finding an untapped market for it.
You've done very well at something.
That's my niche. Yeah. I do that very well. I can take a broken property and I can asset manage that and turn that into an amazing property. And then I want someone else to take over. Now I'm doing the management, and I'm glad I've done the management because I can help train people and know what to look for. But I'm ready to just hand that off and let someone else do that.
Do you have all of your training processes in place for that to happen?
Not fully.
Yeah. But that's hard.
But it's constant.
It's constant.
Building the scope of work.
Constant. I always ask people that just because there's not a lot of people that are really prepared for that. Meaning, like, are your looms set up for somebody really to step in? There's a training process when somebody gets involved. Is there really documented things? Like, that's when there's real meat and potatoes to that business. Yeah. And that's because that's the stuff that nobody likes to do.
Yeah.
And whenever you hear somebody, it's like, yeah, man, or see somebody. Hearing is one thing. Seeing is another. When you're like, yeah, I got this training process over here. I got this over here. I got boom, boom, boom. I got this can step into. You're like, oh man, you're about to do some shit.
I'm starting to do. I think this is a suggestion from Dan Martell. I'm starting to do more of the video recording because I don't have time to sit down and write this into a formalized document. It's like, you know what? Well, let me just videotape this. They can use this for now, or I'll send it to my admin and type it up, and let's create a document. And
do you use Looms at all?
I don't.
So Loom is like it's basically an app that's on your computer that basically films you while you're doing something on your screens and you save.
I have heard of that.
Yeah,
yes.
So you just implement. You can put it in Asana. So the nice thing about Asana is like you can use that for your training template. So you could build a training project for, let's just say, project management, and you could go through like how to handle a service call, and it could be on your Loom. You do this, and then record it, put it right into Asana, and then you have a description in Asana that's like, hey. Here's the description.
Right.
Here's the loom. This should be okay for a 6-year-old.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. How do you handle your maintenance calls? Do you send someone out? Do you troubleshoot first? What's your process?
I like to troubleshoot first, just because our warranty is so minimal, which is great. But we just had this conversation in our annual today with our warranty division. Is like, when do we draw the line? because we have a lot of really cool people that like will reach out to us even after warranty period of a year, and they'll be like, "Hey, I had this," and it's kind of situational based for us. Like, you know, at 2 years, like, I'm like, "Oh, my doorknob's loose." I'm like, "Then get a screwdriver and tighten it." Like, I'm not your home maintenance company. Like, I built your home. 2 years from now, you've been yanking on doorknobs. Like, screwdriver to the right. I assure you the bolts will tighten. But yeah, we do. So like, we have like remodeling's one, because the shaker cabinets will get the split coming down the line, you know, in the cabinet. That always happens because of humidity, and like the client doesn't get like, you have that natural wood that goes on a shaker. There's the piece and on the bottom, there's piece on the sides, and they're all just separate pieces. And you're going to have that paint, and it's going to separate.
Oh, you're talking about the recessed panel shot.
The recessed panel on the door.
Okay, gotcha. That's just
and you'll
normal.
be like, so you know, again, we'll typically go out, or we'll send our warranty guy. He'll have a crayon, and he'll just show them how to like fill that in a little bit, and just kind of, again, this is heat and humidity. These cabinets are expanding and contracting through the seasons, but we troubleshoot.
Yeah.
But it's also like, if you were an awesome customer during the build, 5-star review, I will come back and fix your shit for probably forever.
Well, I found, and this is more relevant to rentals, I guess, but I find that, you know, the report that you get from someone isn't always what's happening.
Well, it's much more drastic from them.
Yeah.
So like, but
there's also simple things.
Yeah.
So like, for example, furnace isn't working. First thing I do, and I violated my rule recently, first thing I do is send me a photo of the thermostat.
Yeah.
Batteries could be low.
Yeah.
They have it turned off. And I violated my rule, and I sent someone over, and the thermostat was off.
Yeah, it's fine.
So it saves a ton in maintenance calls.
Yeah.
So pro tip for people, if you can troubleshoot.
Yeah. So what are some of the, I'm assuming your role, you do a lot more troubleshooting.
I do. And this is something that I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I absolutely enjoy it, but it's not the best use of my time.
Yeah.
I have to figure out, how do I replace myself?
Gotcha.
I'm thinking AI might be the way. I've started to see some models where they have some AI troubleshooting. I don't know if it's quite there yet.
Yeah, it will be.
But I think it will be. And that might be the way I replace myself. Because I've thought, like you've had enough years of experience in construction that you know the things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
How do you teach someone that?
Yeah.
Without just doing it for 30 or 40 years. How do you teach someone that?
Yeah, we had this discussion today too, because remodeling people or anyone in construction loves to hurry up and fix a problem when a problem happens. But they don't understand that they just created another problem, because you stop doing what you were doing to do something else. And then it's like this, like when you fix a problem, there's the other one. There's another one. You never actually see through the problem. You don't ever actually fix the real root to the problem. You're just kind of band-aiding the problem. And then you can't go back to what you were doing because you just threw off your stuff. Like, for instance, we had like, recently I had a turnover, and I had a ranch in Baldwin. We just leased again. And the lady was like, "Hey, my tub's not draining well, you know, yada, yada." We snaked it a little bit, or did some stuff, pulling some hair out of the drain and yada, yada. So I started thinking, and I'm like, all right, well, my last tenant had long hair, and okay, let me just see what's going on here. And made a call, and, you know, we're like, all right. Again, had her same thing. Send me pictures. Send me what you got going on. Let me just see how high is the water in the tub? You know, how long has it been sitting? And again, typically we'll just, either have somebody on our team go and assess it to make sure, like, it's just not like, hey, we can jiggle the handle a little bit or go back in the access panel, see what's going on. We pop the trap maybe or something. And again, those types of things I act on pretty quickly, just because, like, I don't want water issues inside of our units or anything like that. But, I definitely have had people who are like, oh, the AC doesn't work. I'm like, it's probably because you didn't turn it to cold.
And sometimes that's true.
No, it's been true.
Send me a photo of the thermostat.
Yeah, it's been true. No doubt. You'd be shocked. I'm like, push it over.
I wouldn't, because I've seen it. But
just push it over from hot to cold. To turn right on.
I think just draw a little arrow, move that, and you're good. You save a service call.
For sure. So, like, when you're leasing your units, do you do run-throughs with the house with your people when you lease the units to people? Like, show them how to operate certain things, or show them how to diagnose, like if the garage door is not working?
I don't. I probably should.
Yeah. I really don't. I do a little bit.
Just assume that they're going to have the same problems. They're going to forget to turn the thermostat to heat.
Yeah.
Whether you show them or not, they're going to forget.
No doubt.
They're going to not notice that the batteries are low and the thermostat, even if you show them.
Yep.
So I guess I haven't spent the time on it.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to hear if that works for people.
Yeah, I mean, I was just wondering your unit count, like how in depth do you guys go as far as like, showing the person how to operate the house? Because like when we build somebody a new house, like we walk them through and show them how to operate the entire house, from like shut off valves to, again, another big one. I don't know how you handle it, but like furnace filters, like nobody fucking changes a goddamn filter. Nobody. I was just talking to my business partner yesterday. I was like, dude, I think we should send one of our guys out and like just knock on everyone's door and replace their filters for them.
So this is something.
But you can't do that at 105.
Well, this is something we've struggled with. Is we need to do that.
Yeah.
How do you do that efficiently?
Yeah.
Honestly, to send someone around and change all the filters is probably going to save you way more on service calls.
In my head, it makes total sense. Because I'm like, all right, well, let's just say we spend, even if it's a week, let's just say it's $1,000.
Yeah.
Or $1,500 for a guy to go out and fix it for a week.
Yeah. To have
105 furnaces fixed?
To save, let's say, 10 service calls.
Yeah.
Because when it gets dirty, parts get coated. Someone's got to go out there and
100%.
Open it up and clean it.
100%.
And that's not.
And
that's
we know
not free.
that. And we know that. And again, this is no knock to tenants. I have some that live really very, 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 very clean. And I have some that don't. And that's just the gist of it, right? So like, I know though that the person that still lives to a high standard of being cleanly is not changing that filter. They're just not.
And it's not a slight on the tenant.
No.
It's it's your business. You've got to figure out how to make it run efficiently.
90% of homeowners don't even remember to change their filter. So like, I can't blame them.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how you guys managed that, or if that was an issue for you guys and that type of thing.
It's something I'm struggling with. How do we address that? Because we have to make sure they're changed.
Yep.
And how do we do that? Do we send someone? And I think that's where we're leaning towards, sending someone to just,
To me, it makes the most sense. I'm a very logical thinker.
Next week, someone's coming around and change all the filters.
Here he comes.
So he'll be here.
This is what he looks like. He's coming.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming definitely you're the way you handle certain things and all your rentals has changed over the unit count. What are some things that
to back up a minute, if you have a 150 unit building, changing your furnace filters is very easy. You have your own staff maintenance guy. He's coming in tomorrow, changing all the filters. Yeah. When you have a portfolio like we have where it's scattered, you've got single families, duplexes, that's more difficult.
It's very challenging.
That is a struggle with that.
It's very challenging. And I think people overlook it until you have a furnace problem, and then you're over here cussing up and down about your $7,000 furnace. Oh. You know what I mean? But so what were some of the challenges that you guys have had to face as your unit count has gone up and up and up and up and up?
Part of it is we've spread out more. Okay. So I always advocate concentrate. So I was pretty well concentrated in Wilkinsburg and, not much more outside of that area.
And where do you live now? Is that close to where you live now? Is that the reason why you focus on Wilkinsburg?
No.
Interesting.
No, I actually live in the South Hills.
Yeah,
and
me too.
So I got introduced to an agent there who was also an investor. She's got her portfolio and she knew Wilkinsburg very well. And she showed me Wilkinsburg, and I got to learn Wilkinsburg. And so it just kind of fell into my lap. And I mean, I have people call me now. It's like, hey, I'm looking at loaning on a property in Wilkinsburg and on this street. Oh, what block? That's not a great block. Yeah. I don't know every block, but I do know most. I just had one actually last week. Yeah. One of my hard money guys called me, and you guys probably know him, but he
is Chris.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get.
Chris calls me too. That's why I asked.
So he called me and he's like, "Hey, I'm looking at this property on Franklin." And
Chris is on here.
What address? And I said, "Ooh, that's just south of Ardmore." Yeah, that's so. I didn't have to look at a map to know where that is. Like, no, between there and there, no. Yeah. So. Just it fell into my lap to start in Wilkinsburg, so I got to learn it and build up a portfolio. And I advocate people learn a neighborhood. Yeah, become an expert in that neighborhood.
Find a pocket.
So when something comes up in that neighborhood, you know if that's a good deal or not a good deal. You know if it's a good street or not a good street. Yep. I mean, this house he was talking about, it's on a block where every house is boarded up except the one you're looking to buy. Nobody wants to live there. Nobody. Yeah. I've had people try to sell me portfolios.
I bet.
Where it's like your house is all the one that's not boarded up, and you've got you fully renovated this and the tenant trashed it, you're not going to get a quality tenant because nobody wants to live on that block.
Yeah.
And I said, you couldn't give that to me. But that's part of becoming an expert in the neighborhood. You know those sort of things. And then you start branching out.
Yeah.
So that's part of the challenge is you're branched out. So when you get repair calls and, showings, et cetera, you're more scattered. So you have to figure out how to do that. If you're going to still run a lean business and not hire, 1,000 people to do what you could do with a handful, it gets more challenging as you spread out.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you have W-2 employees or do you have a lot of 10? Okay. Yeah. So what do you have? Who do you have on staff wise, like helping you?
So my renovation business, I have two people who are on staff.
Nice.
Full-time W-2. I pay their healthcare 100%.
Awesome.
So,
And these are remodeling guys.
Yeah.
Nice. So they do maintenance?
They also do repairs.
Yeah, I was going to say, do they do the maintenance and repairs for you? And they also work on some of the units when you're flipping them and stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Man. And we have a bunch of subs that help pick up the slack and, take care of our roofs and things we're not going to do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, it's interesting to hear, the different perspective of people who've scaled from, was there a place or a unit count that you got stuck at for a little while that was it always seems like guys get stuck at a period. It's either a revenue in business where you get stuck at for a minute or it's unit count where you're just I couldn't cross like that.
I think 100 is where because I'm looking at bigger unit counts and I'm just not finding them.
Sure.
So I've got another 7 under contract. So
7 units or
7 units under contract.
Gotcha.
So you're growing, but you're not going to the next goal was 1,000, right?
Yeah.
So you're at 100, go to 1,000. You're not going to get to 1,000.
That's a lot of moving a needle from 100 to 1,000.
You're not going to get there 5 units at a time.
No, you're definitely not.
So that's why I'm looking at those bigger projects, but they're not here. So.
That's what I was going to say. Do you think you're going to have to branch out to a place like Beaver, somewhere like Dan did, someone that's a little bit?
I don't like the market of Beaver.
Yeah.
So
I just meant that as just using it as an example.
I might, Butler might be of interest if you can find them. I don't know if they have the unit counts.
I don't know what Butler has.
So I've actually partnered with somebody who has done big syndication deals, the 250 plus units. He's done a few thousand units this way.
Nice.
So we're looking at projects in different areas.
In other states.
And he bought his in other states.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're looking at other states
So
now.
I'm looking at other states now.
That's what I figured.
Texas.
That was going to be my next question was they got the big multis.
But knowing what I went through living in Los Angeles and buying remotely,
that's scary.
I need to have the right team, right partners, and he's got the experience to know, okay, you go in, you get the right broker and you get the right management company. And so.
Yeah, because that syndication deal should get scary. Because you got to believe in that operator. That operator better be good because you might get rug pulled. I mean, there's definite chances of that.
Yeah. But having done, this is actually something.
I agree with you.
The partner I'm working with, he has not done the hands-on management. And he said, I really wish I would have.
Yeah.
I think it's beneficial. So
Yeah, the whole process.
When they're telling you something, if they're blowing smoke or.
Yep, 100%. You know the whole process. Yes. You know exactly what's really going on.
Yeah.
So that's your goal. That's the game. That's how you're going to get to 1,000 units is now you're going to go outside of Pennsylvania.
You're going to do that at 150 plus at a time. You're not going to do that at 5 units at a time.
Are there certain states other than Texas you guys are looking at? I've heard some good things about the Midwest and some other areas.
I know the states he's worked in. He's done some stuff in Florida and Tennessee. I've done some research in Texas. I like it. There's some other markets I would consider.
I love Texas just in general, but yeah.
Yeah, although I just saw some of the numbers on the property taxes. It's kind of scary. Geez.
I was down.
But again, it's still numbers,
dude,
right?
I was down in Florida. I was down in Florida looking at buying a personal house in Central Florida, and you look at the insurance. You're like, holy shit! How do you even do this? So, on a $750,000 house in Florida, your insurance is going to be like $8,500 a year.
Yeah, it's the hurricane coverage. Yeah, it's killer.
Yeah.
So I used to sell commercial insurance. So, but full circle, how I got into real estate. I was looking at getting into real estate, and a friend said, "Hey," his friend said, "Oh, my brother or my husband has his brother-in-law, whatever. He does this. He's got an insurance company. You want to sell insurance?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
Oh well, he and his brothers own a few billion in real estate.
never
Tell
mind.
me more.
I bet.
So that's how I ended up.
Kidding.
I ended up specializing in insurance for rentals and construction, and seeing how these guys.
So
were
who do you
operating.
use for insurance on your rentals now? Because that's always the thing, right? Because it's like, who do you go through? Who do you
It varies. So my single families, I go to State Farm.
Yep.
My multis, I have a broker I use, and she's got a few different companies that work well. And
Because that you got to be a little bit more concerned with the numbers and stuff like that on the multis.
Yeah.
Because that, like you said, that'll swing your cap rates and all the other stuff.
And you got to get a nice umbrella policy.
Big one. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm ready to bump mine again.
I bet.
So it's scary out there.
Did you get a lot of when your renewals came this year? Did you get a lot of notices from your insurance company wanting dumb shit fixed on a lot of your properties?
I've had none of that.
Fuck.
I've had none of that.
I had just had the dumbest shit. Just like it's like a step coming off a porch. Like it was crooked.
Really?
Like
I guess I've been lucky, or maybe we've just renovated enough that we don't. So when I buy a property, I always tell my crew, the goal is I don't want a maintenance call for 5 years.
I agree with that.
So I guess we've renovated enough that we don't have those.
Does that hold true to you now?
It has held pretty true.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And around year 6, things start breaking.
They start getting aggressive with everything. Shit starts breaking down.
Yeah. I mean, like your toilet guts are going to start dying around 6 years. So 100%. Pro tip, change them at 6 years.
Yeah.
Don't wait.
Yeah.
Water bills are expensive.
Oh, fuck. Water bills are real expensive.
Yeah. I got hit with $900 one month on a 6-unit. It was one running toilet for the month. It's $900 extra dollars.
For your multis, do you look for all separately metered things? Is that an absolute stipulation for you?
So,
because I think that I'm too overly picky, and I've always been that way, and I'll talk myself out of any deal. But and I look back over the course, and I've between urban and all the houses. I mean, I've walked thousands and thousands of houses at this point, and like I did acquisitions for a company like for them, so I know what to see, do, buy.
Yeah.
I know the whole thing. But I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's not all separately metered. I don't want that. And I look back on it now, and I'm like, I don't know if that was smart or not.
So for me, my first purchase, 18 units, shared utilities. You go there during the winter. They've broken the box off the thermostat, box off the thermostat. Yeah. They've got it cranked to 85. Windows are open for, because it's hot in there. And they're walking around in shorts, and I'm paying the heat bill.
No doubt.
I said, never again will I do shared utilities.
Yeah.
When we start getting into multifamily, shared water is
very
unavoidable because the only way to do that is to run separate taps, and it's brutally expensive.
Yeah, ridiculous.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Ridiculously expensive.
So I made peace with water. And I'm like, I don't want to do any other shared utilities. I've started making peace with that, but I will bill it back to the tenants. So we bought a duplex in Carnegie, and this is one of our first ones where we did a RUBS program. We do it in-house, so had admin create spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. So we plug in the numbers. We've got it all broken down. So when the bills come in, it gets added to their account so they can pay for the
framework that
utilities.
conversation with the tenant? Do you say like, hey, the average is $65 a month. Anything over that, we're going to bill you back? Or like, how does that conversation go?
I do the actual bill.
Oh.
So, so water, you can look up kind of the standards, but you can bill it based on person, heat based on square footage. Yep. So you come up with a standard that's fair, and you apply that across the board.
Yep.
And, then you bill it back. So I bill back the actual number. You want your heat at 85 degrees? That's cool, but
you're going to pay for that.
You're going to pay for that.
Yep. Yeah, you're definitely going to pay for that. So do you
I have tenants that like it at 85 that pay their own heat.
Yeah, sure. I mean, my grandma loves it at 85.
Go for it.
I'll be honest. I like to tend to be on the hot side. Not 85, but I'm a solid 72, 73 kind of guy. And my wife hates me for it.
Oh,
but that's me.
My wife finally turned the heat up to 70. I'm like, oh man.
Dude, I hear stories about that. My best friend, his girlfriend, has his house at 65. I'm like, 65? I'm like, a woman's heart's froze.
Yeah.
That ain't nothing.
I'm comfortable. Dracula. I'm comfortable with that. So.
Oh, my God, I couldn't do it. No, I mean, that's always been I always like to ask people because I'm like, I feel like I talked myself out of some deals I should buy just based upon some.
I definitely did.
Yeah.
I definitely did. But I'm starting to make peace with it.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can charge it back.
No, yeah. That's a great thing. And that's something I have to kind of keep, in the back of my mind too, is like when you find a deal, it's a deal. Like I don't want to say this is Pittsburgh, it's saturated. This is just real estate. It's saturated. We got a lot of people that act like they know what they're doing or think they know what they're doing, but they're also willing to buy whatever for whatever. And it's like, if you get a decent, opportunity in a good area and it kind of fits your model, like you should probably buy it and figure out some ways to make it work.
Here. We're still a little insulated from outside investors.
So let's talk about that, right, for a second. Like, do you think that's it? Do you genuinely feel that that's,
I think we've got a buffer there. I've bought some things from usually Southern California investors that they don't know what they're doing.
Bad deal.
I'm talking about primarily the ones units that need renovation, especially heavy renovation. Yeah. This is where they fail.
Oh, they fail massively.
And I know this. I lived in LA. I saw how they operated. You got money? You're the one in control, right? So they're like, I've got a pot of money. I'm going to come in and I'm going to tell the contractor, here's how much you're going to do this for. And they come in and they're like, here's how much I want this done for. And the contractor goes, F off. And they don't get it. And they've budgeted their numbers thinking, I'm the big shot coming in and I'm going to call the numbers. And it doesn't work out that way. And now their numbers are blown to hell. And now they're in trouble. So if you're not from the area, and contractors, there's this distrust of people in general. People have been ripped off.
Fact.
Outside investors, outside of Pittsburgh especially, it takes time. I mean, I've been doing this for years to build those relationships. You're the low-hanging fruit. They see you're from out of state, and you don't know shit. Yeah, we're taking this. So I think out-of-state investors, if you're doing something with renovations, I think you're at a disadvantage.
No, you're at a massive disadvantage. You are at the lowest advantage because for one, you're getting the least amount of respect. Two, you have the least amount of connections. Three, there's only so many people that operate well inside that circle because you have to have stuff at an absolute number.
Yeah.
Can't go over that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I've had this conversation. I've been called out on Facebook by people on the real estate investors page because I'm like, we predetermine some of, but we don't predetermine our costs in new construction. We create what's called POs and we send them out. But we build POs based upon our labor numbers that we already have from our current subs. So it's like, we know that we pay $2 a linear foot for trim or whatever it is. I'm just using that as an example. Well, that's our PO. We take off 1,700 linear feet. We're going to send that to the guy. Yes or no. You know what I mean? That's how we build budgets. Because what happens in new construction is like we do so many projects, we do so much volume that they don't want to keep bidding every single job. So then we have a purchasing department that we send out POs to, and then we try and take that off of you. Like, hey, this is based upon our work that we've always done with you. This is where we're at on this project. What do you think? And if we need to adjust a couple grand here and there, that's fine. We're okay with that. This isn't a yes or no thing. This is just us trying to save you time thing.
Yeah.
Because we want you to agree upon a price as well.
Yeah.
Keep it moving.
But I think people are shocked at the prices for.
I'm shocked. Are you not shocked?
It's just what it is.
I'm not shocked anymore, but it's crazy.
It's what the prices are.
Definitely what the prices are.
That's
why when people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this like $10,000 reno," I'm like, "On what? Your tile floor?" You can't get shit done for $10,000 anymore.
People are kind of shocked at the cost. People from outside of the area.
Oh, for sure.
Shocked.
For sure.
It's what it is.
And also too here we have the lack of, I want to say, how do I put this correctly? We have the lack of Hispanic help here because we're far north. So we don't have cheap labor. Yeah. Not cheap labor. We had
a lot of immigrant labor in Los Angeles. And it was great. It was great stuff, but it kept the prices down.
Yeah, for sure. You have a lack of that here. So
we have an absolute lack of help here.
Facts.
Facts. For sure. One of my subs is from Guatemala.
All my subs are from Guatemala.
But they are not Los Angeles prices.
No.
They are not.
No, they know their worth here.
Yeah.
They know their worth here. Yeah. I mean, our Amish guys are the same way. I mean, we pay a little bit more. You can get a crew for $1,000 a day for 3 of them. We pay $1,500 for ours, but it's like, I mean, it is the top of the top work I've almost ever seen. And the amount of work that they do in a day is 5x what most is. That's just the reality. And you're basing your time and your money. That's how you're going to do it. I think the other thing that's funny to talk about, you hit the nail on the head earlier by not knowing your neighborhoods. That's a big thing for out-of-state investors because pockets and pockets of street by street vary radically in Pittsburgh. One street, you aren't in East Liberty no more. You're in Lorimer. You don't know that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You don't know that.
Yeah. My favorite was a wholesaler several years ago sent out this deal, and he had a price on this thing. It's like, where'd you get this price? And I realized he ran comps. And this is a place in Millvale. This is maybe 5 years ago.
I knew you were going to say Millvale.
And his comps, were probably a quarter of a mile away, and he's pulling Lawrenceville.
I knew you were going to say. Fucking knew that was going to. I knew you were going to say it.
Where did you get these?
Everybody does that shit. Everybody. Everybody.
It's like you don't know.
That's why when half the people on the real estate page are like Lawrenceville flip, I'm like, it's probably not Lawrenceville. It's probably not. I'm just telling you.
There aren't a lot of flips left in Lawrenceville.
There's no. I mean, that place has been getting banged since 2012. Like, we were in there in 2014. We were in there heavy in 16. Like, it's only gone bananas even way more since then. I mean, I remember back when we were buying flips in Lawrenceville for $100,000. Full renos, putting 250 into them, or, putting 150 into them, selling them for 450.
Yeah, they've gone way up.
They're a price point of $1 million now and above.
Yeah.
It's bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fucking.
My favorite is people always like, I could have bought Lawrenceville.
Yeah, so could have bought.
Yeah, but you would have bought Lawrenceville when Lawrenceville was Lawrenceville, not Lawrenceville.
Sucked.
No one wanted to be there.
What's
you can't
crazy
make
is,
the trend. You've got to go with what is right now.
You know what's wild is I actually built a house for a woman in Upper St. Clair her sister was living in it. It caught on fire. It was their family home in Upper St. Clair, caught on fire. Now, going to getting to know her a little bit and stuff like that, back in the 90s, she bought 60 units in Lawrenceville in the 90s for $9,000 to $12,000 a unit.
I was going to joke say $10,000 for all 60 total, but
crazy. And then she ended up selling it at a package deal to an investor for 30x and some wild fucking number. And
you can't get a piece of dirt for $9,000 there now, which. Anybody watching this out of state is like 9,000. Well, yeah, it wasn't that long ago here in Pittsburgh. You could get properties for 9,000.
Dude, I mean,
and 50 was like that's in great condition.
Especially when you start traveling the country and you go to these masterminds and stuff, and you're telling people I have buddies all around the country, and I'm like, I just bought a house for $50,000. They're like, 50 fucking grand. They're like, dude, my doghouse isn't $50,000. I have a buddy that lives in Arizona. I mean, it's
you can't get a small plot of dirt for $50,000.
Another buddy lives in Georgia. It's nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Another buddy that lives in the Northern Pacific, even way more nuts. I mean, it's just they can't fathom buying houses at $50,000.
No,
we're like, you want 100? How about we give you 40? It's just it's an unfathomable thing here, and I see the alluring part to the out of state investors. I do. I see the allure here
because it's cheap in sheer dollars.
Entry level's cheap.
Yeah.
Your entry level's cheap, but your cost of education here is going to knock your doors off whenever you start buying in the wrong areas and you start realizing these contractors. Our barrier for entry as a contractor here is $50. You're now a contractor.
Yeah.
Send a $50 check to the attorney general's. Welcome to the contractor
one of my
game.
Biggest pet peeves, coming from Los Angeles, California, everyone's licensed. You want to paint? You get a license. You take a test in painting. People are like, it's just paint. Did you degloss? No? Well, your paint's going to peel right off. You have to take a test and be licensed. And that license is tagged to you. You mess up, you scam someone, that's it. You don't have a license.
Lost license.
Here,
that's the way it fucking should be.
$50. You scam someone,
shut
down your LLC and open a new one.
It's crazy to me that we are as regimented and blue of a state as we are, but we won't have any parameters around somebody who can build you a house.
So what is your thought on this? Because I hear a lot of contractors rail against the idea of a license. It's just another government overreach and taking the money.
It's bullshit. That means that you suck and you're not willing to put your time, energy, effort into passing a test.
I agree.
Yeah, you suck.
I agree.
You should have annual renewals for a license to be a contractor.
Absolutely.
You should have.
Well, we have that, but it's just sending your $75 or whatever.
Yeah, my license expires once every 3 years. Here, let me send you my $75.
But that's not a license.
Yeah, it's not a license. It's a fucking piece of paper from the attorney general's that says, here's your PA number. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't do anything.
No.
You know what I mean? And that's why there's such a high level of people getting ripped off here.
Yeah.
It's the reality of it.
Yeah.
You're allowing it.
Yeah. I mean, I hear even even deposits. I think, California was 10%. Here they allow a third, which is crazy. But I hear people saying 50% down. It's like, that's not even legal.
No,
We
and
do it all the
everybody
time.
asks for it.
We do it all the
Everybody
time.
asks for it.
But that's not even legal.
Everybody asks for it.
Like,
I've had to tell numerous new subs that we come on. They're like, all right, even painting guys. They'll be like, we need 50% down. I'm like, you have a Sherwin-Williams account, don't you? Like, go get the paint. I'll pay you when you're done.
I had someone do that to me on a roof. A lot of investors know, he wanted 50%. I'm like, no. No. He's like, well, we have special order stuff. You have special order shingles and ice and water shield? Come on.
Yeah,
You're buying this stuff
Onyx
off,
Black, GAF shingles and ice and water. Fuck special order here.
Yeah, come
Just
on.
Shingles.
Come on.
Yeah.
No, not doing it. Not doing it.
Not doing it.
And
We
didn't work
That's
together.
almost the really refreshing part about new construction is all the subs know that, and they run on net 30 schedules, and they're super used to it. They supply all the materials. They don't do any upfront money.
Yeah.
You get paid when you're done. It's on a 30-day rotation.
Yeah. I just had someone call me for a referral for one of my subs, and I gave him a good review, and he started asking me things like, how much does he charge you for a deposit? I said, his terms with me aren't relevant to you.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with me. This is situational based.
Yeah. And he doesn't charge me any
Yeah.
down payment, but he knows he gets paid.
Yep.
So, but it takes time to build that
I
relationship.
did 5 years of remodeling. So in 6 years, we've done almost $50 million in construction. And for 6 years, I never took one deposit in remodeling. Not one. I built it to a $1.7 million business in 2 years.
Yeah.
And we never took one deposit.
Yeah. That's what I used to do when I was out in the field. It's like,
Because here's the thing. I don't want tied to you. That's the way I looked at it. Like, if I'm going to book out 6 months or 7 or 8 months, like, if you want to back out, back the fuck out.
Well, and it was I
didn't take anything from you.
I
I
had
didn't
people
order your
waiting
materials.
6 months, and
It helps me too, because maybe prices have changed. Maybe I don't want to do this job anymore.
that's definitely a good way of looking at it.
I always looked at it like, hey, I'm not tied to you and you're not tied to me. If you decide you don't want to do your kitchen anymore, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't owe you $20,000 back.
I only ever had one person back out. It's because their mom died.
Yeah, I've had that. Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, totally.
It's cool. No problem. I understand.
No problem at all. Completely
You
understandable.
have other things on your mind right now.
Yeah, totally.
It's
get it.
fine.
I've had,
We'll fill it.
what's wild is we had a build that got put on hold for that reason. And then the guy ended up inheriting the house in Orema. And then he was going to, so then I met him down at the house in Orema to show him like what to do. He wanted to rent it. I'm like, yeah, man, I'll show you how to rent it. He messaged me out of the blue. He's like, hey, man, just want to follow back up. Still looking to build, but I remember you talking to me about rentals. Like, maybe could you come down and show me how to do this? Sure, absolutely. He ended up getting it ready for rent and then he ended up selling it to the neighbor's son. So then he was like, it worked out for me because he's like, now I get to pour money into the build, which is great. I'm like, it works both ways for me. So, but again, things get postponed. They'll come back. It is what it is.
Yeah, there's plenty of work in Pittsburgh.
Oh my God, there's the utmost work.
So, I'm curious, I'm sure you've talked about this, and I don't know how much time we have, but what got you into construction?
The truth?
Yeah.
I come from the streets. So I screwed up my background a long time ago. So corporate America was out for me.
You shared some of that with
corporate
me.
America was out the door for me a long, long time ago. So I got involved in real estate first. And I always was more drawn to construction. I'm like, I just like construction more. I always seeing myself being in construction. I don't know why. I don't really do hands-on construction. I did, but I'm not, you could never classify me as a great carpenter or anything. I was good, decent at painting and some other stuff, stuff that people hate to do. I usually am pretty good at, but, yeah, I don't know. It was weird, man. And I stayed in the real estate sector for a little bit whenever I was doing flips. And then I went and worked at Urban in the real estate sector. And I seen that on a big level. And we started getting them to 100 flips a year. And at that point, they wanted to do.
Yeah, they were doing some crazy stuff.
Crazy shit. And then I started seeing the financials behind it. I started seeing some other stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think this construction thing just more works. And for me, it was where my heart was. I just was more into it. Again, I always look at it in the aspect of I know some dudes that own some big construction companies and they are not poor. I know some guys in real estate, they own a lot of stuff. They ain't poor either. So I'm like, the way I looked at it was both worlds merge so well, like peanut butter and jelly, that I can still do my stuff while being better at construction. I'm like, it's probably going to benefit me better in the long term if I can control the cards in construction to then also help my portfolio for now fix and flip. Because I'm the same way as you. I'm not buying flips. I'm only doing rentals. So I actually bought the most rentals in the last 2 years because I'm like, hey, they all have 25% equity. They all got refinance and they all cash flow. So I'm like, great. So, all right, well, if I have let's say their mortgage at 7% right now, or even 7.25%. I'm like, I have a floor at 6. I'm like, they make sense at 7.25% and 7. They're definitely going to make sense at 6. So I'm like, let's just keep buying here. Because a lot of guys were like, we ain't buying rentals no more. We're only doing fix and flips. Can't get them to cash flow. And I'm like, I don't see that. I don't see that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So for me, yeah, construction was a little bit more of like, I didn't have too many options. And then I enjoy it. I love new construction. But I'm a process guy. Like, I'm a regimented, my schedule, my calendar is like, I have it in my calendar at 12:30 to text my wife. If I don't have that reminder, I'm not texting my wife, period. Like, I'm just super ingrained in the day. And like, I love process. I love my dun. I love,
You might make a good property manager.
Oh yeah, I would. Yeah, for sure.
I'm more the seat of my pants type guy.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not that. I don't like that.
That's why I'm better at the asset management and
I'm not a
that day-to-day
I'm not a
regimen.
seat of your pants anything. I'm a let's have a fucking plan guy. I'm that guy. Like, I want to know what we're doing and how we're getting there.
I'm the guy, oh, shit went wrong. All right, I've got plan B, C, and D already in my mind.
Yeah, I have that too.
Give me
but
15
like,
seconds, I'll come up with it.
I don't have it in 15 seconds. Because I'm like the visionary of the company, so I'm like over flooded with ideas. And like, there's way more visionaries than there are integrators. Luckily, like, my partner's more of an integrator, which is great because I never considered myself a visionary until we went and started doing that stuff. And like, Claudio, we work hand in hand with Claudio now and win rate a lot more. So Claudio was in Apex back whenever I first started in 2021, and he branched out and did his own type of stuff. So he's construction specific mastermind. So we're in that, and that's been nice because it refines right to what I do. Now Apex was great whenever I got in because I needed the business fundamentals, and then now I needed focus just specifically on construction. So, but yeah, for me, I'm process driven. I'm very, the building blocks. I know in building a house, it's excavation, foundation, framing, rough, I know it's that. I know we get there that way. Yeah. And I know a process. So nice. I'm very in tune with that type of stuff.
You found the right fit.
Yeah, that's why I don't like remodeling as much because it's fucking chaos.
Yeah.
And it drives me, I can't handle it. It drives me like, my anxiety starts getting fucking ramped up.
I don't mind chaos. I try to protect the staff from chaos.
I get ramped the fuck up. And my team knows that. So they keep away a lot of the bullshit from me because they know that I'll amplify to an emotional level like very quickly. And I'm like, when we were finally made a decision to shut down remodeling, it was a great thing because we just couldn't solely focus on like what we were really meant to do.
Remodeling is a very different beast.
Interior remodeling is a fucking monster of a beast. Like, these exterior guys, I love all you exterior guys, but it's very easy. Like, as long as the roof doesn't leak, you're usually not going to have a problem. Like, it's just what it is. Nobody's going up there and checking their roof to see the quality of their flashing and their caulk job.
Yeah, I did kitchens and baths. Yeah. You got that.
Yeah.
You don't know what kind of pipes you have in there. You know what kind of wiring you have in there.
And you could lay out a kitchen a million different ways. You can lay out a kitchen, do you bump the rain? Do you bump the quartz come out around it? Like, there's just a million little details inside of a kitchen you can do.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but with renovation, you don't know what you're going to get. You know from experience what you might get, but you don't know until you open it.
Yeah, it's been it's definitely an eye-opening experience. Just like scaling and any other thing, you start to look at it and you're like, all right, this was chaos here. So, you got any tips, any final words for anybody listening in regards to the real estate world? Any things you can share with anybody to help anyone?
No, well, I think we covered them. Start small. Start small and become an expert in your niche.
That's how I started too. I knew South Park. I started in South Park. That was my area.
Yeah.
I built my first 2 houses there because we knew the area. I've done multiple things there. I live there.
Yeah.
That's important. Know your area.
I advocate staying near where you live
Yep.
in your hometown. But I get it. I lived in LA. That's not always possible.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
No doubt.
But be careful if you're going outside of your territory to start with.
Oh, yeah.
It's dangerous.
Oh, stay in your lane,
Dangerous.
folks. When you travel outside, you got a real risk of getting burnt. Well, Jim, I appreciate you coming on, man. I thank you for sharing your story. You are definitely well on your way to 1,000 units.
Oh.
Kudos to you for getting over 100. That's
Bryan,
a huge
you've got a great
accomplishment.
business, and I see the growth you've had, and it's
Appreciate
amazing
it,
to watch.
man. I appreciate it. No, I think we're going to have this nice multi-unit talk that we're going to have now.
We are. We definitely.
All right, man. Thank you for all your time.
All right. Great seeing you again.
Cool.